The massive immigration crisis in United States has not only gripped the nation and polarized its politicians ahead of the crucial 2024 presidential polls, but also has a very strong Indian connect. According to Pew Research, Indians now make up the third largest illegal immigrants in US, a whopping 7,25,000 Indians, almost 11% of the total illegal immigrants. Mostly finding their way through Central and South America, aided by touts and agents who fleece them, promising them the big American dream: jobs, money, and a green card. The heart of Shah Rukh Khan's star Donkey's narrative. But now also the heart of American politics. According to a CBS poll, after inflation, immigration crisis is at the second highest ranked concern for citizens. But the twist: now narrative and debates also driving discourse around possibility of illegal migrants being registered eventually to impact votes in 2024 US polls. The latest to voice this concern is Donald Trump, even as the Biden administration is at the receiving end for record migrations year on year, the latest being just last December. Final stretch before Iowa's caucuses next Monday, the former Republican president has repeatedly suggested that Democrats are encouraging migrants to flow into the country, something that the Biden administration has tried to at least clamp down in terms of the perception. The Biden administration has said they are open to tightening the norms. And I'm at this point being joined by Yashpal Singh. Yashpal Singh is the uncle of a young man who was promised the American dream by an agency. यशपाल जी, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आपका भतीजा कहाँ है अभी? आपकी उससे बात हो पा रही है?
ਅਸੀਂ 19 ਦਸੰਬਰ ਸੇ ਉਹ लापता वा, तो ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ कोई गल नहीं हो रही। वो एजेंट जो भी बात पहले होर करते हैं, बाद में कुछ होर कर लेते हैं, तो वो धोखा देकर वो मिसिंग है बच्चा साडा, अज तक नहीं मिल रहा। वो किते पनामा दे जंगल वाल नूं लै गए, जो कि अज तक मिसिंग है। हाँ जी,
19 दिसंबर, so he is missing from 19th December. यशपाल जी, आपके बेटे को क्या कहा गया था, क्या प्रॉमिस दिया गया था?
देखो जी, वो हमारा भतीजा था, ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਇਹੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਈ 에ਅਰ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਾਈ ਵੀਜ਼ੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਭੇਜਾਂਗੇ। ਪਰ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਧੋਖਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਪਨਾਮਾ ਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਹਿਣ ਤੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਲਤ ਰਸਤੇ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਧੋਖਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਸਾਡਾ ਅੱਜ ਬੱਚਾ ਮਿਸਿੰਗ ਆ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨ ਆ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ। ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਸਗੋਂ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਆਫ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ, ਸਟੇਟ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਬੱਚਾ ਲੱਭਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰੇ। ਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਤਨੇ ਵੀ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਲੋਕ ਹੈ ਆਪਣੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਕੰਮਕਾਜ ਲੱਭਣ, ਤੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਦੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਏਜੰਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਨਨੋਨ ਏਜੰਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ, ਤੇ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਝਾਂਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਏ।
So Yashpal Singh, let me just, for my viewers, let me just translate this. Yashpal Singh is saying that he was promised entry. His nephew was promised entry into US by the agents. They paid money to the agents, but instead his nephew was taken to Panama. And last they spoke when he was in the jungles, and has not been able to speak to his nephew since mid of December. Yashpal ji, आपका पोता, आपका भतीजा क्या करता था? आप उसे क्या पढ़ाई किया है, क्या किया है उसने अभी तक?
उसने MBA की हुई थी, MBA ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ।
और
ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹਨੇ। ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਕਰਦਾ था, ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਉਹਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ। ਪਰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਅਦਰ ਜਿਤਨਾ ਵੀ ਲੋਕ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਬਰਾਈਟ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਵਿੱਚ, ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਝਾਂਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਣ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ, ਉਹ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਨਾਲ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਪਰ ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਗਲਤ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਣ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਜੋ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਕਿਸਮਤ ਮਾੜੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਜੀ।
Yashpal Singh is saying that his son was doing well. He had a job. He was earning pretty decently, but he aspired for more. He thought that there was a promising future in the United States. His family tried to tell him to stay back and to continue with what he was doing. He had finished his MBA, but his US dream, the big US dream, is what drove him for better prospects and a promise of citizenship in the United States. आप अपने एजेंट से फिर से मिल पाए हैं? आप उनसे बात करते हैं? आप उनको कांटेक्ट कर पाते हैं एजेंट को?
ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ। ਉਹ ਇਦਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਕਿਤੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਛੋੜ ਕੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ।
Right. The agent who helped facilitate this movement and left, according to Yashpal Singh, his nephew in Panama, in the forest where they last spoke, is absconding, in the sense that the family has not been able to get in touch with the agents. आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
Yes.
आप ऐसे और लोगों को जानते हैं जो फंसे हुए हैं?
नहीं मैम, बिल्कुल नहीं जानते। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਬਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨ ਆ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੀ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਨ ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਜੇਕਰ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏ, ਲੱਭ ਜਾਏ ਉੱਥੋਂ, ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਲੱਭੇ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਤਾ ਸਕੀਏ। ਤੇ
An appeal to the Indian government. यशपाल सिंह जी, आपने एजेंट को कितने पैसे दिए थे?
एडवांस 15 लाख लिया था, 15 लाख। तो पूरी जो बात ही जे अमेरिका
यशपाल जी हमसे जुड़
45 साढ़े 45 लाख,
बोलिए।
45 लाख के पास बात थी भी इतने पैसे लेंगे अमेरिका भेजेंगे। 15 लाख एडवांस लिया
जी। जी यशपाल जी, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत शुक्रिया। आपने समय लिया, हमसे बात किया, अपने परिवार के बारे में बताया। एक आखिरी क्वेश्चन, आपका भतीजा कितने साल का था?
28 साल का, 28 ईयर्स।
शादी हुई है उनकी परिवार है?
नहीं जी, नहीं बिल्कुल नहीं जी, नहीं शादी नहीं हुई जी। असल में मैं
शुक्रिया हमारे साथ बने रहने के लिए। आप जी बताइए।
मतलब ब्रदर जॉब करते थे ਤੇ ਜੌਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਿਟਾਇਰਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਮਿਲੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਬਸ ਇਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਚਲੋ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਇੱਛਾ ਪੂਰੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ। ਜੇ ਬੱਚਾ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਹੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਵਾ ਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੀ ਕਮਾਈ ਸੀਗੀ, ਜਿੰਨੀ ਰਿਟਾਇਰਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਸੀ, ਸਾਰੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਤੇ ਲਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਉਹ 15 ਲੱਖ ਦੀ ਠੱਗੀ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਏਜੰਟ ਰਫੂ ਚੱਕਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਪਹੁੰਚਣ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਸੀਗੀ।
See, behind these numbers and statistics, the ugly numbers and ugly statistics, threatening numbers, if I may say, is this reality. This family was promised that their son would be able to get a job in the United States. The father of this youngster, whom we are not naming because the family doesn't want the youngster to be named, the father had little savings. All of it was spent just to be able to facilitate and provide for his son, who now, since mid of December, they've not been able to get in touch with the son since mid of December. यशपाल जी, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत शुक्रिया। And when we talk about the illegal Indian immigrant, this is the face that I want our viewers to understand behind what happened in of course, Shah Rukh Khan starred a movie, Donkey, but also the fact that how so many Indians aspire to get to US for so many reasons, and many of them land up the wrong way, stuck in no man's land, quite literally. Let's try dig deeper into this crucial issue. I'm being joined by Ray Locker, who's a journalist and author, Robinder Sachdev, who is an Indo-US Policy Expert, Saurabh Shukla, the founder for newsmobile.in, and Ashok Sajanhar, who's also a former ambassador. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Ray Locker, let me just start with you. You just heard the voice right now. You just heard Yashpal Singh, the uncle, narrate his story. He definitely is not in isolation.
Most definitely. I mean, I think the issue is that there are conditions in India that are making people want to leave. You had on the screen comment from somebody at Amherst saying that people who are part of minority groups in India don't feel welcome there. And I think that is indeed part of it. Also, the United States has traditionally been a magnet for people from other countries who want to improve their economic and social conditions. So that's why they come. And in the case of Mr. Singh, they get tricked by people who take advantage of their desperation.
Right, Ray Locker, it's going to be a little difficult to back statistically the minorities data, though I understand there have been some researchers in US who have pointed at that. But Punjab and Gujarat are two states that seem to have a lot of illegal immigrants entering US or trying to enter US, and not necessarily linked to minorities as such. Though let me just get in the introductory remarks from others as well. Robinder Sachdev, while there is a very strong India connect, more so than ever before, the truth remains that this whole immigration crisis in US has never been a poll agenda like it seems to be now.
Oh, thank you, Sneha. Couple of reasons. One, this issue has assumed really serious proportions realistically and as well as in American imagination in terms of the domestic politics of America. Now, if we were to look at, let's say, from an Indian perspective, the numbers I think that you have are that right now in the US, there are apparently around 10 million or more illegal immigrants living without visa situations. And out of those 10 million, by the way, almost 1 million or 700,000 are Indians. Why is that? That's one. Secondly, is the matter of the immigration, which we are talking now. And as your data shows, and as the data is out there by the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, in December of last year, just a month ago, over 100,000 Indians were turned back at the borders of America. Now, two or three things I'll maybe say in a big picture. Now, yeah, sure, as Ray said, and of course very wisely, that America is a magnet. Yes, it's a magnet. And that's why, by the way, such large numbers, and the example of the gentleman you just interviewed, are staking their monies and all, going and figuring out that this is a route to America or a better life. There's one little very different dimension I'll put to the illegals right now in America, not the immigrations, because I can give you my personal example. I was on an H1 in the US, and my company, they went bankrupt, the company where I work, right? So within 3 months, I had to either figure out a way to get another job or to come back to India, what to do. Luckily for me, or for whatever reasons, I ended up creating my own startup company in the US. We raised money and I got a visa on my own company as a H1 visa, and I continued working there. What I'm trying to say is that apart from
No, so let me interrupt you here. If at all you had not been able to translate that into a job or create a startup or get another job, what would your status have been?
Okay, my status then honestly would have been either want to come back to India because I don't want to run illegally, etc. But a large number or some number of Indians who are on H1 in the US, when they get, laid off, what do? You want the American life and that system, and you're there. You try to figure out, okay, let my visa be expired. I'll figure out some 1, 2, 3 hooky way. So, out of the 1 million or 800,000 Indians in America, according to Pew, who are illegally there, some number is such laid
All
off.
right.
H1 workers also. This is a minor one, but a case study in point.
Okay, I'll get back to you. We'll try and dig deeper into this aspect as well. Mr. Ashok Sajjanhar, if I may, what is unfolding in US right now, of course, has major ramifications for the US elections, but it also streamlines or polarizes the type of Indians who are welcomed in US, and the division is quite political between the Democrats and Republicans. How is this going to impact India?
Okay, two things here, Sneha. Number one, as far as this issue in US politics is concerned, I think, as you put it rightly, I think it is an issue for US politics. I think it is quite inconceivable that if there are people who are coming into the United States either today or last year or the year before that, that they will, by any stretch of imagination, be able to participate in the elections. Because, you have to have either resident status or citizenship or some other, that you have been living there, you have been staying there for a long time to be able to get that authorization to vote and participate in the elections. Even as far as India is concerned, that there are a large number of illegal immigrants who come in and they are able to generate these documents of citizenship or long-term residence here and try to use, participate in elections. So I think all countries have these requirements, and I would, be very, very surprised that if anyone was to come to any country, to the United States, particularly, where their security systems are so very stringent that, within a couple of years, they would be able to get all the documentation as far as, their participation in elections is concerned. Secondly, as far as Indians are concerned, I think Indians who are living there from India, they are highly respected. They are the most well-educated. They are the most prosperous. We have about 4 to 5 million of those. And, if you are talking about, I don't know what were the numbers that we were looking at, 70,000, 80,000. I think in relative terms, that is a very small number. But I think otherwise, the Indians, they have been at the forefront of, taking the India-US partnership forward. We have, Robinder just mentioned, he was there. We have Saurabh Shukla on, your program, and he's moved there very recently, and he's doing a phenomenal job. So I would say, most of the people who have
Ambassador,
gone there.
let me just interrupt you and also get Saurabh. Let me also just get Saurabh to interrupt, and you're making a very valid point. However, Mr. Saurabh, when we look at the arrests, there have been record arrests under the Biden administration when it comes to illegal immigrants. Quite more than double of what really happened under Trump, and this is also becoming a political issue. But at the heart of it, is this also a demarcation between skilled and unskilled labor force from India? Is there something deeper to this all?
Absolutely. It's a very, very pertinent question that you raised. And as Ambassador Sajjanhar was saying, and my good friend Robinder was saying, it's a bigger issue. The bigger issue is that the US and India have to work on a multi-pronged way to solve the issue of illegal migration from India. And my worry is a lot of these unscrupulous agents now are trying to target the Indian skilled youngsters because US has to fix its skilled immigration process, especially when it comes to Indians. I can tell you that I'm in Washington, D.C. I speak to a lot of congressmen. There is a bipartisan support, yet nothing is being done because a lot of these skilled immigrants who have contributed, skilled Indian immigrants who have contributed to the US economy, they have been living there. They don't have a clear pathway to a green card. They've been languishing for years. So the pitch that some of these agents are now making to Indian skilled immigrants is that if you want to come into the United States, the best way is that you give us money, you give us hard-earned money, and we will get you to the illegal route. So that has to be clamped on. One, the action has to be taken by US and India in collaboration to clamp down on these agents. Secondly, reform the legal and skilled immigration system, encourage more Indians, because a US-India partnership, US has become great because of the contribution made by these skilled immigrants, and where skilled immigrants from India have contributed in a major way for US's technological prowess, US's economic prowess, its prowess in defense, and that should continue. So they need to, for instance, I'll tell you, there is a proposal that was
So are you then saying
recommendation made by President Biden's
between
advisory.
amid all of this
allow me to
clamp
complete.
down
Yeah.
on the illegal immigrants, at the receiving end could also be the skilled workforce from India? Are you trying to indicate that?
Absolutely, that's what is happening. There has been a huge today. If you see some of the neighboring countries of India, they can get a green card much faster. Even China, in the highly skilled EB1 category, where you have Nobel laureates, where you have highly skilled multinational managers who apply for this. For Indians, the wait is for 3 to 4 years, whereas for some countries, you can get in 6 months. So why is there a gap? US needs to fix that. And the way to do it is there are a lot of unused green cards which are lying wasted. All it requires is executive action by President Biden to recapture these old green cards that will fix the issue of skilled immigration and provide a legal pathway and an incentive to these skilled immigrants. On the other hand, they should clamp down on these illegal agents so that illegal agents can be clamped down on, and these youngsters, people like you were citing about this boy, the father whose father you were speaking to has an MBA, yet he has spent entire retirement savings of his father, and he's languishing. I hope he's safe, but people like them will only be deterred once there is action against these unscrupulous agents, and there is a pathway that the US creates for skilled immigrants from India who are contribute deeply to the US economy and US's technological prowess.
Very valid points, Saurabh Shukla. Just allow me to interrupt you here. Very strong points being made, but let me also get Ray Locker again into this. Ray, if you could help us understand this. Now, we're looking, of course, I've mentioned about record numbers of migrants being caught trying to enter illegally under the Biden administration. US-Mexico crossings itself has seen a monthly record high. We're talking over 3 lakh people who've tried to cross the US-Mexico borders. There's a bipartisan bill which is pending under the Biden administration. Republicans is attempting to push back the Democrats, the Biden on this, as Biden seeks a re-election. So there's a lot of positioning around this issue of illegal immigrants to US. Explain to us the political scenario right now in US. How volatile and strongly positioned is it around this issue?
Well, people talk about it. I don't know how big of a deal it is to most Americans. It certainly is to Donald Trump and right-wingers, including Elon Musk. And look, this is nothing new. This country has had problems with immigration from its inception. I mean, the first people who came to the United States when it was a British colony were kicked out of the United Kingdom in 1620, the Pilgrims in Massachusetts, the Irish in the 1840s. In 1924, we had an extremely racist immigration law that stopped immigration from all of Asia. And that was only opened up in 1965 with the passage of that year's immigration law. And we've seen major changes since then. So it happens every election year. Trump is far more vocal about it than other people. And this thing, his claim that people are going to come here and vote immediately is a lie. It's always been a lie. And he said it in 2018 before the midterms. Oh, this immigrant caravan, and they're going to come and they're going to vote and they're going to replace white people. I mean, it's pure racism, and it's happened over and over and over again. He's just more overt about it.
But Ray, allow me one question. Allow me one question to try and understand what you are saying better. While you are saying this is a lie and this has been done election on election, what we are seeing under the Biden administration seems to also be towards a compromise. We also see a softening of stand under the, not softening, rather closing up or a clampdown under the Biden administration. He seems to go in a different tangent than what it was, say, 3 years ago when he was elected into power. And we're talking about record numbers. So if you're saying it's all a lie, you definitely are seeing an antithesis to this within the political spectrum of US as well.
Well, I'd say a lot of the claims in terms of immigrants coming here to vote immediately, that's a lie. We have more and more people who are coming here. And in some cases, that is swamping the entire system. And that part of the bipartisan compromise you're seeing in Congress is to deal with that. And what we're also seeing is Republicans saying, we don't want to cut a deal because it's going to help Joe Biden. Excuse me. So, you know, we had in 2013 a bipartisan bill that passed the Senate, Republican-controlled Senate or close control Senate, and with the Obama administration, House Republicans killed that. So in many cases, they don't really want to solve the problem. We're seeing that again this time. It's far more convenient for them to make claims about poisoning the blood of the United States than it is to actually do something about it. And many of the people who want to come here don't look like me. They're brown people, immigrants from Asia and elsewhere. And that is, you know, people like Trump play on the racist feelings of many of his base voters. And that is unfortunately the fact that goes along with the fact that also many people want to come here because the United States has been a beacon for people from around the world and continues to be one.
Right. Robinder Sachdev, a CBS poll that I was reading says the issue of illegal immigrants or the issue of immigration, US immigration crisis, is just second to inflation among the citizens in US. How deep is this? And often you see narratives and issues in politics really going over the top during the election period and affecting a lot of stakeholders. Do you see that ripple effect perhaps with the Indian Connect?
Thank you, Sneha. In a big picture, what I think, in fact, I'm writing a book or one big section in the book. To my mind, in the future, immigration and LGBTQ positionings will be issues which will divide nations and which will influence global geopolitics. You look at America, you look at Europe, immigration is dividing the politicians, the politicking of that nation, one. And second is the matter of LGBTQ and progressive such rights, right? Thirdly, so these are two big fault lines I see emerging, waiting to be exploited by your, I would not say enemies, but others. In my mind, in the coming years, in the next 5 years, if Russia and China are smart and if they can manage their social media and trolling and all and influencing, etc., in a better way, they will create situations whereby what we are seeing right now, immigration coming towards America from Guatemala, Nicaragua, Etal, etc., will grow more, will create more divisions within the US. Similarly in Europe. So immigration, to my mind, is a bigger issue for politicians in America and Europe to handle. One big picture. Secondly, and you have an amazing panel, Ray is an amazing expert, Saurabh Shukla, our dear friend, and he is there setting up an Ambassador Sajjanar. He was there in Washington, D.C., helping India's, embassy around the times. In fact, I was also there, right? But coming to US immigration issues are extremely complicated, and it's amazing how complicated they have become. One other element in this complication is that the issue of, which you refer to also, merit. America wants, illegal immigrants coming is another matter to stop them. But America, on the other hand, is a nation built on the immigration dream, contributing to the economy, to the innovation. Now, therein, there has been a proposal, they're tossing around left and right, that anyone from any country, be it India or any country, Once you do a master's degree at an American university, you pay for it, you stay there, you obtain a master's degree. The day you get the master's
Right.
degree, you get a green card stapled onto your passport. On that count, by the way, my example would be I would have two green cards stapled to my passport because I did two master's degree in the US living there. The point being that these are issues and challenges which America is looking at in terms of innovation long term. And also, by the way, separately, the other element of immigration is
All
labor
right.
and labor shortage. In America, the agriculture industry, for example, needs labor. Now, who is doing the labor? The labor is Mexican, perhaps, or some of these immigrants who come for short term visa. So there are layers and layers in this whole
Okay.
immigration debate ranging from H1 to green
Absolutely.
cards.
Mr. Robinder Sachdev, please allow me to interrupt you at this point. There is so many layers to this, and you're saying labor is a huge concern. But I have just 6 minutes left. I want three minutes each to Mr. Ashok Sajanhar as well as Saurabh Shukla. Mr. Ashok Sajanhar, to you, do you see in times to come this whole issue of illegal immigrants, particularly from India, become a ticking point or a sticky point between India and US?
Okay, let me, just make two more points before I come to your question. The first is, the first comment made by the first speaker
But you have
was
only 3 minutes,
that
sir.
many of these people are coming, from India, and because they are religiously persecuted. I think nothing could be further from the truth. As far as India is concerned, there is
No, I don't think religious
whatever,
persecution is a point here at all. And we
yeah,
really don't have data at this point to say or
at
back
all.
anything about it.
There might be people, who might go, who might sort of, want to seek asylum or something. They might mention that as one of the cause that I'm, being religiously persecuted, etc. That might be, an argument. But otherwise, it doesn't, because India itself has been the recipient of so many minorities, whether it is Muslims from Bangladesh, Muslims from Afghanistan. They have come here and, they have sought refuge here. There is no
Last 2
persecution
minutes,
of
sir.
any minority whatsoever. There might be normal law and order problems, but then there are legal courses that are available. The second point is, and I agree with Robinder what he says, that there is a shortage of labor as far as the US is concerned, like in many other countries. In Europe, the population is graying. They need young people, they need innovative minds, they need creative minds to work in their societies and in the system. I remember, Sneha, I can tell you, when I was ambassador to Sweden, that was the first country that we signed what is known as migration and mobility agreement. What does it do? It says that, any skilled people that the country needs, then there is a legal route that is provided. So today we have Indians who are the highest immigrants in Sweden, and they have gone through the legal means. After that, we have signed such agreements with Germany, with France, with Italy, you name it. We have signed it with so many countries. I think basically the way to go forward is also with the United States, because the United States needs these people, needs young people. As our panelists have said, the prosperity and well-being of the United States has been dependent on these people who have come. Now, coming to your question, whether it will be a sticking point, I do not think so. Let me give you just one or two very quick responses on that. Indian economy is growing. India is today the 5th largest economy. In a few years' time, will become the 3rd largest economy. As the Indian economy is growing, so also the per capita is growing. Now, I know that as far as Punjab, I knew that there are so many people who want to go not only to the United States, but also to Canada, because I think they go there as students.
We're really out of time, sir. We're really out of time.
Go ahead, meaning...
We're really out of time. I just have a minute or two to go to Saurabh Shukla. Very quickly. Saurabh Shukla, if you could just very quickly tell me, what should the government do in India particularly to deal with this menace of illegal touts and agencies just promising and just vanishing into thin air? I'm sure government can do. There are schemes which have been launched.
Work very closely with the US agencies, FBI, to make sure that there is stringent action against these touts. Incentivize a skilled visa program for Indian skilled professionals who are already in the US, create a fast track to make sure that the backlog green cards is done away with. The per country quota which is there, that is done away with.
Right.
Because US, this technological innovation prowess depends to a great extent on India's skilled professionals. US and India have a great relationship going. This
Right.
is the time for them to make sure that there is no impediment. So create pathways for legal immigrations for skilled Indian professionals,
Right.
make sure that the country quota goes and recapture the green cards, which can be done by executive action, which will make sure that these people have an incentive. So these agents don't mislead people, even skilled professionals, that you can get in the United States through illegal ways. There is a skilled pathway which has to be strengthened, and US and India have to work closely to make sure that there is a legal
Right.
pathway for these young professionals to realize their dreams and to contribute
Thank you,
to the
Saurabh.
US economy and to the US.
Thank you,
India
Saurabh. I'm afraid we are totally out of time. I have to thank Ray Locker, Robinder Sachdev, Saurabh Shukla, as well as Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar to spend your time with us and try and give us important perspectives into this very deeply layered, complex issue, which is not only a big issue within the US, but is a huge challenge for India as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, viewers, for your time. It's time for a short break. On the other side, news and updates will continue.